Well, g'day. It's Peter from Professional Boat Care. We've got a couple of weeks ahead of us taking a boat to the Whitsundays from Brisbane. Yeah, so Merlin's a Precision 65 built in Western Australia. She's powered by twin MTU 1000 horsepower a side. Cruises at about 21 knots. Anyway, conditions were absolutely perfect, which was lucky. And we made our way across the bay and ran into a couple of my friends who were out there in their little boats. Came over and gave us a wave goodbye. So after a quick fish through the trench area, we decided it was time to get up to Mooloolaba. The entrance to the Mooloolaba River there is not so good at the moment, so we wanted to get there with plenty of light. Yeah, so as we approached, that's Point Cartwright there, the entrance to the river, but we noticed quite a few yachts hanging around. We had about a half an incoming tide, so they didn't have enough water to go through at that stage. You can see the waves breaking across the bank there, right in the middle of the channel.
We are sending one of our vessels out to guide you into the river mouth. If you'd all like to pay attention to Rotary 3, she'll be out the river mouth in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, so that's a great service that the Coast Guard Mooloolaba are offering, to come out and give everyone a bit of a track to run in there. It's a bit of a dog's leg around the groin, you'll see. So this commercial boat coming in took the very western channel, runs around the back of that bank there.
The vessel's wanting to follow us in. We have recorded depths around 2.1, 2.2, just coming out then. If you want to follow us back in, we do make like a dog leg to get back in and around the western wall. Over.
However, this red trawler, which I knew would draw over 2 metres, did a much tighter turn around and went back in towards the western channel, but the pilot boat there cut through another little entrance.
This is Rotary 3, Rotary.
But I decided we're probably better going the way the red trawler went. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That was easy. We're not there yet, mate.
But yeah, we didn't see under 2 metres on that dog's leg track we took then. So we laid that track for the morning departure. Yeah, so we'll have a similar tide, which is about an hour or two before the top of the tide in the morning. So we just went quietly up the river. She's a big boat to find a little bit of space to anchor, but we got up around the corner there and managed to drop the pick in very calm conditions. Probably a little too close to some of our neighbours, but what do you do? So up before sunrise, and the plan was to get up to the Wide Bay Bar and cross that at around 7 a.m, which was about an hour before high tide. There's a little bit of swell there, as you could see, coming out of the east, as you can see here at the entrance to Mooloolaba, but nothing to concern us for the Wide Bay Bar. But still, it's always good to get there close to that top of the tide.
Loving it.
I just confirmed the last 4 minutes.
So yeah, not an ideal situation there at the mouth of the Mooloolaba River. That's a commercial port, lots of commercial fishing, and the pilot boats use it all day to run pilots to the ships entering Brisbane. So a lot of frustration there from all the operators, and it culminated in a quite a funny situation. Well, I thought so, for where they dumped a pile of sand in front of the Maritime Safety Queensland officers and said, how's it feel crossing a sandbar to get to and from work? So quite clever. And of course it did get some reaction, and they ended up dredging the entrance there a week or two later. That's Wolf Rock in there, you could just see breaking, and Double Island Point in the background. And these guys going out in little jet skis, I don't know about that. But as we crossed the bar, it was there were no surprises. Not great conditions with the rain and visibility, but you can see there's always a bit of traffic at the top of the tide crossing the bar there. And there's the Inskip barge, takes people across to Fraser Island. And as we came up the Great Sandy Straits, always lovely and calm. But one thing we didn't count on was the bay-to-bay trailer boat yacht race. Some 85 boats. We managed to keep away from them there, but there were areas there where we were having to slow down every couple of 100 metres as we passed them. Anyway, we spent the evening in Urangan Harbour there at Hervey Bay. And woke to similar conditions the next morning. We still got a bit of southeast blowing, but the forecast was improving over the next few days, and so our plan was to leave Urangan here and a nice easy day up to Bundaberg, come into the river here and into Bundaberg Port Marina. And we were collecting another guest who was flying in that afternoon, so we just had an easy afternoon. Fueled up and then went and found our berth, and I managed to give the boat a good wash down. Then the guys said, let's hire a little bus and go and have lunch at Bargara Beach Hotel. Great plan. So after a good feed, we wandered down to the Esplanade, and then we ran into a guy I know, Brett, who runs the Lady Musgrave Experience. He was showing us his new little shop front he's setting up at Bargara. Then it was back to the Merlin, where we got some tackle prepared for the next day, as we were going to get out of there as soon as we could and head out to Lady Musgrave. You can see the track out there. It's about 50 nautical miles, and there's the island and the lagoon, and you can see that dark line there. That's the entrance into the lagoon. That's one of two cats that Brett runs that take tourists out to the island. He's got a great setup there. You can actually overnight on a floating hotel out there now in the lagoon, so be sure to look it up. Runs a good service. So there's some nice shoal country there before we reach Lady Musgrave. I decided to have a troll on, and yeah, we found some long-tailed tuna, which are great eating, excellent sashimi. A couple of these scaly mackerel showed up, which we released. But yeah, I was keen to get some sashimi, and these things are just as nice cooked as well. So the boys have some great catering on board, but it's always good to add some fresh fish into the mix.
Put a hook in it.
Yeah, so even better. A couple of Spanish mackerel turned up. Oh no, scaly again. Bring him in, we'll let him go. Too early to keep bait for the marlin stick. So, with Lady Musgrave showing up on the horizon, it was lines in and we prepared to come in through the entrance. Once in, the boys wasted no time in getting the tender in, and plan was to go ashore, have a bit of an explore. A couple of them hadn't been to Musgrave before, which was great. Apologies for the wind noise here, but once we get in amongst the trees, we'll lose that. So yeah, it's just to have a look at the signs. The islands are a huge nesting ground for these sooty terns, so you sort of got to stick to the tracks. There's a lot of holes. The mutton birds also nest there, so there's sort of all these burrows. So stick to the tracks and you won't damage anything. That shows the bunker group, Musgrave down the bottom, and we're heading up to Fitzroy there in the next couple of days. Yeah, the bunker group is one of the favourites of mine. I mean, it's got beautiful reef. It's not far, it's the southern end of the Great Barrier Reef. And I've been coming here since I was 6 months old, would you believe, on our family boats. So yeah, there I am, sitting on Dad's shoulders at Lady Musgrave. About 1965, or 66 it would have been, showing my age. Anyway, then the boys were keen to have a snorkel, which was good because there are areas within the lagoon there that aren't in a green zone. So they went off looking for some coral trout for the table. So they did see a few, but a bit undersized they felt. And with all that sashimi we had back on board, it was time to go back and have some sunset drinks and a nice bit of longtail tuna. So next morning it was securing the dinghy back on and some engine checks, and the plan was to then head on up through the day to Fitzroy. Yeah, Fitzroy is about 25 nautical miles north. What you got, mate?
Big one, mate. Big one.
Righto, looking good. Quadruple hookup. Okay, done much gaffing in your day?
Never.
You get a grip. Yeah.
It's a little bit heavier.
He's looking at you. Righto. The release. Well, that's enough sashimi for us. We're releasing them all now. Releasing all of them now.
Oh, looks like it's big.
Oh, it's a big mackerel. Oh, he's a bit big, is he? He might be a bit big to eat. 40 pound. Watch your feet. Oh, that's a beauty. That's yeah.
Your biggest fish ever caught? Mate.
Way! Yeah, not ideal sticking a gaff in a fish you're going to release, but he was in fairly good condition. So a few more tuna, and then it was time to get into the anchorage. Yeah, Fitzroy Lagoon, as I said, is a similar sort of cutaway entrance. There's a bit of a bommy on your starboard when you first come in to be aware of. Good job, mate. But once in, a lovely anchorage, particularly at low tide. But with our forecast dropping out, it was only going to get better. So some bush mechanical work happening on the davit crane, which had failed us, but we managed to make it operational and get the tender in. The guys were keen to have a snorkel again. So this booby bird had decided we're a nice place to have a little bit of a rest as we watched the lovely sunset, and quite a lot of small boats were coming back in given the forecast. Beautiful morning. Wind had dropped down as forecast. Old booby bird had decided to spend the night in the cockpit. I wasn't too happy about what he was doing there though. One of my favourite things are the quiet mornings on the reef when you can hear that surf breaking. Out. Anyway, it was time to gently persuade the booby bird to leave for the day. Can't stay here. Over there. Over there. So great being so close to a wild animal that just doesn't feel threatened at all by us, apart from the deck hose. So the plan today was to move into the Keppel Islands, which are about 70 nautical mile run northwest. They lie just off Yeppoon, which is sort of central Queensland coast. I've heard that's a surfable wave on the corner there. Oh well. So on the way we fished a couple of marks that I have up there, but I've done well in the past with some nice big red emperor and coral trout, but it was just all little stuff today. Everything was undersized or the sharks were biting us off. So not a successful reef fishing, bottom fishing hour or two, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. Well done. Oh, it looks nice. Yeah, closer to. So, whip the fillets off. You should always do that as quickly as you can with some of these fish, particularly up in the tropics. Get them on ice and get them away as soon as you can to avoid any food poisoning risks. So after the boys had cooked up a nice lunch, we got ready to go for another snorkel around the lagoon. Generally there's pretty good spearing in Fitzroy Lagoon. Seems to hold a lot of trout, but they're a bit thin on the ground today. Yeah.
The video. Well, I've got to wait and is that the one we could see, you reckon?
I don't know, he might have been swimming around with it. Maybe you should wind up tight on it. Coming tight, aren't you? No? If you come off. You're on?
No, yeah.
Yeah, here we go, you're on. Back from the brink.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to get a look at you.
Just give me a knife.
Well, there he is. Holy hell, that's a beast. Look at him. Full on him. A little bit of shark action in the evening. Always catch and release, of course. These things swim around the boat. I mean, there's no harm in them. You know they're there. You don't want to encourage it by feeding them. But for some of these guys, it's the biggest fish they've ever caught, so it's a bit of a thrill. Mate, he is big.
It's like a fish shark.
Yeah, but it's not. It's got those extra fins.
That's a mother.
That's bloody nearly 10 foot long, that thing.
You got him locked in?
9 foot long. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they call these a lemon shark, and they are fairly aggressive for spear fishermen and the like. I certainly wasn't going to remove that hook. And let him go. Released. Beautiful. Well done. Good effort. Yeah, so dawn on the reef, beautiful day. And as mentioned earlier, we're going to head into the Keppels today and continue our passage north. Yeah, so this is the anchorage at Great Keppel Island, and the boys were pretty keen to go in and check out the little bar that runs there and have a few beers in the afternoon before heading back to the boat. A poorly timed shower right when we're walking back to the boat, but beautiful sunset as a bonus. So the next morning, a few dolphins swimming around the anchorage. But the plan today was to go into Roslyn Bay Marina, where we'd fuel up and spend 2 nights actually, while we dropped off someone and waited for the second passenger to join us. It's only a short run across. This is Roslyn Bay Marina. That's Max. Well, Max has been fueling my family's boats for forever as we go up and down the coast. So we'll say goodbye to those boys, and unfortunately the other guy who was coming couldn't make it at short notice, so we just continued doing all our prep and fixing a couple of things before we headed off on our next passage. But it was good. Got a chance to have a couple of morning walks. Good for the fitness. Check out the headland there. I never actually walked up there. It's fantastic. Very pretty. Looking back into Yeppoon there and the marina of Roslyn Bay. See us down there, just there. But the weather was actually not good. We had a trough with some very heavy rain forecast to be coming in for the next couple of days, but you know, as the owner said, we can either sit here in the marina or we can find a nice anchorage north and sit it out in there, so of course that was the better option. But it gave us a chance to do some detailing and, as I said, run around and fix a few things, grab some provisions and then here comes the rain. And did it rain? We were just putting some markings on the chain there, which the boat didn't have, just to help with everyone's anchoring. So out for another morning walk, the last morning walk, and then we were going to take off, with the plan being going through to Island Head Creek. Beautiful part of the country, all the coastline along here. You probably might know it for Shoalwater Bay, which is a military zone. See that brim there? That got pushed up onto the dock from the bow thruster, which obviously intrigued the shag that was trying to eat it. So it's looking back into your poon. And then we were on our way up towards Island Head. That's called 5 Islands. It's not much of an anchorage, but it's very beautiful in there. And there are a few green zones along here, so we were sort of running the lures where we could and then pulling them in again. You can see a cat washed up on the beach there that was damaged. I believe it eventually got salvaged. I mean, it's a bit of a pity it's not sunny for the camera, but this truly is one of the prettiest parts of the Queensland coast, this stretch. So it sort of runs from, Yeppoon, as I said, right through to Mackay. It's just fairly untouched, hard to get to, very little access from road, given it's all a military zone. There's some camping down closer to Yeppoon. But yeah, you only see cruising boats through here that might be spending a few days, and that's in there's Pearl Bay, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my dad's favourite anchorages on the coast. Dad's been going up and down this coastline for 40 consecutive years in his boat, or boats. We towed our game fishing boat up as well, and the reason he'd go up every year was for the marlin fishing season off Cairns. So obviously I was involved in a fair bit of that. That's how I got so sort of intimate with the coast and all the great anchorages, etc. And this is the entrance to Island Head Creek here, which is where we're going. So that's on your starboard, you've got those rocks there. You sort of hug those to get around a big bank over there on your port side. And then once you're up in here, it's just glorious. Reminds me of being up in the Pittwater or somewhere, big high mountains coming down to the water. Surprised to see a little boat around the corner, or not little, Maritimo there. This book's fantastic, by the way. If you are thinking of cruising up around this area, it's a bit of a Bible. It's been around forever. There's lots of updated editions now. But that shows Island Head Creek. Now, when you anchor in there, there's one little spot that everyone knows about where you can get data. So if that's important to you, keeping in touch with emails and the outside world, you go up into this little spot here, and it's literally only about half a mile area that's got data that somehow finds its way through the mountains. Anyway, Island Head Creek is pretty famous for its mud crab area, but so we went and put some pots in, and whilst we had this big rain system bearing down on us, we did get some patches of sunshine you can see here. Certainly better than sitting in a marina riding it out. And of course, we had 25 to 30 knots of southeast blowing by now, and you can see it just is a fantastic little sheltered anchorage. Yeah, so between the showers and after dinner, we snuck out to check the pots again. Just hopes were high, but yeah, not much. Just a couple of little sharks and no crabs. Anyway, the morning, you can see we've got the wind in and the rain. I was off to check the pots again. mate. What? The size of that thing.
Cod.
My goodness.
So it's a cod, is it?
I think it is.
It is too.
Oh my goodness. Look at the cod.
Cod.
Crab bait.
Mate, we know what we're doing. Huh? Mate, that's a good crab.
Isn't it? Yeah, so we joke we know what we're doing. I'm sure he had a lot more idea than me. I have not done a lot of mud crabbing in my life. Done a fair bit of sand crabbing. I am not going to go near that thing. Right, exploring. Yeah, so instead of sitting in the boat getting cabin fever, we thought we'd go off and look for some oysters and spin a few lures off the rocks there. Fill in the time. And another good thing to do around here, I mean, it's only estuary fishing, but you know, we decided to go for a troll and work all the little rocky edges, dragging some, you know, deep swimming lures. And it was good fun on light tackle. The boys had a great time. Nice. It's like that's it. It's Friday. Yeah. So Ian did get a second one, and I had to fill up the store. Yeah, so after checking the pots a couple of times with all zeros, we decided to move them and try some new areas. So this was up another little creek. Most of these creeks are almost dry at low tide, so it was a bit of a high tide activity. But good fun, beautiful territory. Do this one. Yeah, so the crabbing wasn't going too well for us. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, we decided to go for a massive walk. I think we walked for about 2 hours. Found some interesting things on the beach, including that lure and the float. But it was, despite it being rainy, cold and wet, it was actually enjoyable to stretch the legs.
One or two? Two.
Yeah, 2 sea snakes. I knew there was a reason I don't do a lot of crabbing.
Stuck. Alright.
Anyway, it is hard for those things to bite you, I believe, but I wasn't going to test the theory.
Two?
Because they are very deadly. They can bite your fingers. They don't have a very wide opening mouth, and I believe their fangs are at the back of their jaw, so hard to get you on a big part of your body, but yeah, you just don't want to go near them. Freaky. Yeah, so we got the pots in and we thought we'd go and try another spot. This is our third day and third area. Making it up as we go, really, and not doing a very good job of it. Anyway, I have since talked to some other mates who have been up there crabbing a lot over the years, and they said, look, it runs hot and cold, and I think it gets a little bit of activity from the pro crabbers. So, yeah, you're kind of getting what's left over. Anyway, it's time to catch up on a bit of professional boat care work in my cabin, and keep an eye on the barometer. But, you know, I think that low pressure system that was embedded in this trough was just offshore by now, and it was raining. And as you can see, our water maker was giving us grief. The high pressure pump and low pressure pump actually had packed it in, so we were collecting some rainwater just to give us longer showers until we got to Hamilton Island, where we could get it all repaired. So a bit more afternoon trolling. Oh no, that's what I saw dive in the lights the other night. Oh, nice one, mate. Yeah, give me a look at that. That looks good. There, I don't know what they are. Might be a wolf. There you go. Well done. Another one. That was a good release. Neat. Good one. Good. Hold it up for me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Jeez. Takes great skill to catch a fish that small. Ian's usual fish. Oh, look at it.
So it's flipping. What's that around?
Yeah. Dropped him. Very pretty country, and it was amazing to see all these turtles. You see that turtle there? They're all just sitting along the edge. The whole sort of system is so healthy and alive, you know. There's nothing, there's no human presence anywhere really. So it's just pristine. This bucket. Release?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
Probably doing the same thing there.
What's that?
Just trolling along here.
Yeah. Oh, look at
Hey,
that.
look.
Another beast.
Good one. Beauty. That's actually worth that.
Yeah, photo. A bit more in towards you. That's it. Good job.
Good one.
Yeah. That's a breaking weather system, isn't it? What's wrong with them?
There was one.
Holy heck. He is a mean. Jeez, look out. Mate, be careful. Come on, can't watch. So with the worst of the weather system moving south of us, we thought it was time to continue our journey north. We went and got the pots, nothing again. But, it was a lovely looking morning, and we were looking forward to get going. But a great spot. So next destination was Middle Percy Island, which is up ahead of us here. Around that corner there is Whites Bay, good anchorage in a northerly or northeast. And then around on the western side is Western Bay in there. And that's the A-frame on the beach, which you'll see shortly. But before we did that, the boys were keen to eat their one and only mud crab. Absolute huge one.
Get off it.
Yeah, they didn't want to share it, and I understand that. Beautiful. So dinghy in and into the A-frame was the plan. So before I took them into the A-frame, I took them around the back there to the lagoon. That's an amazing place, particularly for a catamaran, because it dries, so you could ride any sort of weather out in there. There's the boat shed that the current leaseholders maintain. There's also that cabin there, treehouse, which I believe you can actually rent. Very basic accommodation, but it's certainly been done up over the years. And here's the A-frame. So there's some of our old South Pacific, that's our family boat. There are some of our early signs back in 74 and 77, I see. But you can lose yourself for hours in here. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I've got quite a few signs in there from over the years. But the story behind Percy Islands was, as far as back as I know, is Andy Martin, who was this lovely English man. You see him here in a photo.
No, he went to an old people's home in the fire.
That's him there. That's how he was when I met him.
He's a good old fella.
An old pair of Speedos that were
He is.
falling apart. Wasn't the best. And but he's passed on now. There's some more of our signs. That's one of Dad's saying 38 years, but he ended up doing 43 years, I think, consecutive to the Reef. Another South Pacific sign. But yeah, Andy, he was fantastic. He used to grow things, sell them down in the A-frame there, and I went up there and had morning tea with him once. That was interesting. But a lovely, lovely man. And there's new leaseholders there now who I haven't met. But they maintain it well. It's well worth a visit if you're going up and down the Queensland coast. It's a must. Anyway, I said to the boys, such a beautiful afternoon, let's go for a little bit of a troll around Pine Islet, which is just here ahead there, not far off Percy's. And there's some coral sort of country all around there. I was hoping for a coral trout or something on the lures. If nothing else, a pretty boat ride with an absolutely beautiful sunset. And look at that moon coming up. This is the tide coming in, so we could actually get into the lagoon in the tender. Have a look around from that angle. It's looking back out to the anchorage. See the boat shed in the background there. That's the entrance back out to the anchorage. Huge tides, like 4 metres, 5 metres. I think there's even 6 metre certain times of the year. Massive amount of water gets moved around this part of the coast. Anyway, with one of the prettiest sunsets I'd seen in a while, we pulled the dinghy out and got the boat prepared for tomorrow, which was running north to Scorfield Island. Yeah, so this is Scorfield. Absolutely beautiful island. Very high. Has a great bay around the back here for that sort of southeast weather anchorage. Obviously exposed to the northerlies. But the boys were keen. There's some great bommies all around the edges, fringing edges there, so they wanted to have another look for some trout. I wasn't complaining. Lovely place to drift around in a tender for an hour or so. Well, empty-handed. They did see a few trout, but they were a little bit undersized, so we had enough fish still. So we decided to go and stretch our legs, have an explore of the beach. Absolutely magnificent. I always have an oyster knife in my pocket when I go ashore up in these areas.
So good.
That little stream coming out there, we could actually hear a waterfall up in the mountains back in there, but we just couldn't get to it. But if anyone knows about it, I'd love to learn. Up in there somewhere we could hear a waterfall. Anyway, I was getting left behind eating too many oysters, so back to the boat. The golden hour. Every photographer's dream. So in the evening, in the lights, there are all these little fish swimming around, so the boys entertain themselves after dinner. Bit of catch and release fun. Some unintentional release. Oh, good release. Oh yeah. Yes, so we woke to an absolutely glorious day yet again. So beautiful, this area. So you'd call this the southern end of the Whitsundays. Scorfield Island. Up there you got the Smith group, and then you sort of get into the proper Whitsunday area. Anyway, the owner was putting his boat up here for a couple of months and coming up to use it for a few trips, which he ended up doing, and I am about to get on board again shortly to bring it home. So there'll be another video for that. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and click the notifications bell so you don't miss further videos. Anyway, into Hamilton Island, and basically it was just packing up, fueling up, cleaning up, just getting the boat ready for the next trip. Good to get a walk in. Walking up to the Passage Peak, it's amazing headland. Yeah, you can hear, it's not a bad workout, I must say, for first thing in the morning. And pretty popular these days. I was surprised at the number of people on the track and when I got up there, but the scenery is just spectacular, particularly at dawn. It's well signposted and it's quite doable, even for an old bloke like me. Yeah, so you can just see the marina in the background where my finger is pointing. Anyway, this is the peak, and clearly all the young, fit people had decided it was a great place to see the dawn as well. That's Hills Inlet, you can see there, that waterway. And then this is all just down below the lookout part of Hamilton Island. And that's looking sort of back towards Airlie Beach that way. That's Dent Island over there. Beautiful. Had to set the camera up on the fence and get a shot. Anyway, I made it back. All the supply vessel was in, the tourists were all arriving. It's a real buzz. Great to see after sort of a couple of years of COVID hold-ups. Anyway, it was pack up the gear and get my flight back to Brisbane. Fantastic couple of weeks. Had it all sorts of weather, great experiences, probably not as much fishing as we had hoped for. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a long video. I try to keep them shorter, but it was just there was a lot of stuff there. This is coming back in over Brisbane. The river's just been in near flood. Anyway, you can see how brown it is from all the rain. That was part of that system that got us up in Island Head Creek. Eventually came down to Brisbane and gave them a touch-up. Anyway, great thing. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.